On this episode of The Breakthrough Show, we are thrilled to welcome back to the show a guest from Season 3 and the star of HGTV Canada's She's Crafty, Wendy Russell. In our conversation, we're talking all about the importance of having fun. We'll also find out all the amazing things Wendy has been up to since first appearing on The Breakthrough Show. Then we'll sit down to have a conversation with Jessica's personal Feng Shui Consultant, Jess Neary. Jess will be sharing all about her journey into the world of Feng Shui. We'll also discuss how Feng Shui can help you even if you're not into the energy practices and give you actionable tips you can implement today. All this and more coming up on today's episode.
Life gives us moments when we have the opportunity to make a choice, and what we choose has the potential to change our lives forever. Join us now for another inspired episode of The Breakthrough. And now, please welcome the creator and host of the show, Jessica Dugas.
Welcome back to The Breakthrough Show. I'm super pumped about today's episode because I have my own personal Feng Shui consultant, Jess Neary, coming up later on in the show. I'm actually super excited because I'm going to be showing some before and afters of the home that we bought and how she's helped me to sort of transform those spaces as it has to do with Feng Shui, but also as it has to do with me and my family personally. And I'm super excited for you to hear that conversation and dive in a little bit with us later. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and this is The Breakthrough Show. And on The Breakthrough Show, a couple seasons ago, back in 2019, we had a fabulous guest on the show named Wendy Russell. And I was just sharing with her before we started recording today that, when I would watch talk shows back in the day, I would get wrapped up in the stories, and I will find myself Googling someone from 1992 from Oprah and going, where are they? What are they doing? So we're super excited to have her back on the show today. She is a crafter. She's all about teaching people to have fun and be creative. And we're super excited to have her back on the show today. Please welcome back Wendy Russell. Wendy, welcome.
Hi, Jess. Thanks for having me back. This is
awesome. Of course. And I always say you have such a fun energy. And I was like, there's some people that come on the show that I feel like we could just, as they said, my favorite line from Anne of Green Gables, she could talk the hind leg off a mule.
Talk a what off a mule? I missed it.
A hind leg off a mule.
Oh, amazing. Oh, never heard it. Enjoy it. That's hysterical.
We can do that. Well, I would love for you to start out by sharing, Wendy, something that's bringing you joy today.
Boy, listen, here's the thing. 2 years ago, so probably the last time I talked to you, we were building this house and I was in the deep, dark depths of renovation. And we spent the entire summer renovating the backyard. And last year during the pandemic, we were somewhere else. So this is the first summer that we're getting to enjoy.
That's awesome though, that you get to now experience the fruits of that labor, right?
Yeah. So we set the backyard up last week, and I'm actually having dinner out there every night and just absolutely enjoying it. So that's what's bringing me joy right now.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to experience the fruits of the labor of my home. I feel like, do you ever, it took you a long time to get that house put all together, right? How long of a process was it?
Boy, let's see. From start to finish, it was about 1.5 years. Yeah.
I feel better now. So I know that your mission, and we talked about this the last time you were on the show. By the way, you guys, if you did not see the first time Wendy was on, you can go to thebreakthroughshow.com and you can go to where it says at the top, archive, and you can go to season 3, episode 5, when we talked about a little bit about her origin story, how she got into this space of wanting to create more fun and creativity for people. So you can go check that out at any time. But what I want to talk about today is this idea of just having fun in general and bringing more of that into our lives. Over the last year and a half, especially, it dare I say has been a challenge for people to find the fun.
Dare you say, yes.
To find the fun in what we're going through. How have you seen, how have you seen it shift at all? This people allowing more fun into their lives. Have you seen it change for the better or worse or the same over the last year and a half?
It's so interesting. I feel like there's this almost, I want to say, a 50-50 split. I feel like there were so many people that embraced social media, embraced being online, and they got to, showcase their creativity, share their fun. We've seen we've seen TikTok explode, we've seen Clubhouse explode, all of these things where people are actually using their creativity and having fun and sharing that with the world, which is the beautiful gift. On the other hand, there was an article, I think it was just recently in the New York Times, that said, it is going to take a very long time for people to come out of how damaging this was to our mental health. And, be like years of damage. And I think, the isolation, especially if you live alone, I can't even imagine, how hard that would have been. And, we've just come out of lockdown here in Canada. So, it's, you guys are way ahead of us. So we're jealous, but no, I think it's been excruciating for a lot of people. And as it's gone on and on, I think we thought, this thing started, it was going to be 2 weeks. We were going to be inside. Right. And here we are a year and a half later. So
here we are. I know it's been quite the ride. I don't think any of this has ever played out how we thought it was going to play out at all. But I do agree with you. I think I've seen very much a split down the middle of, and one of the things that I've talked about, and I want to touch on this with you as well, is how before all of this, so many of us were saying, God, I wish I had more time to just relax and have more fun. And then we get it and we all freak out.
We have more time on our hands now when we're not having to commute necessarily. We're not we weren't traveling as much. I mean, now we're kind of getting back in the flow, but we had so much time on our hands to just stay inside and do the things that we could do to get, pick up a dusty old sweater that you started knitting like 4 years ago, or my husband started playing the guitar in the middle of this because he hasn't been hanging on the wall in the basement for so long, and here he is, playing the guitar again. So there's been a ton of opportunity. I really think it was a gift in terms of time, but there's ways to now do that now that we're getting sort of back to normal.
Right. Do you think it's necessary to have fun to find the fun in every circumstance?
Personally, yes. But I think, and some people are really perplexed by that. I'll preface it by saying, people are, I've even a friend of mine, I said, we were having this conversation about fun and creativity and how you can make everything you do fun. And she went, I don't know, I'm kind of offended by that. Like, I don't have the time. It's sort of frivolous, like I'm doing serious adult things here, like I don't have time for fun. Like, so it's quite the dichotomy. I find the people that are naturally drawn to being creatives, I think typically they're thumbs up on that. And then people with a bit more of the left brain, they're a little more, why do I need to have fun? I'm working over here. Right. So, it's a very interesting thing. And I think the one thing that most people say when I talk to them is that, they don't have time, too busy. I've got this, and this. I don't even have time for myself. I'm getting kids here and I'm doing this and very important adulting things. And it's just so off our radar as adults, and, but I truly believe we have the time for anything that we want to do in our lives. We just need to create it. Like, here's the catch. Fun is a choice as an adult. So if you want to make time for that, you actually have to prioritize it. Right. And so it is a choice. It's one of those things that you go, yeah, you know what? I'd rather not be on my deathbed. What's the amazing book that was written that said, that the 5 regrets of the dying? I can't remember the author's name right now, but one of the chapters was, I wish I was happier, which really translates to, I wish I'd taken more time for myself. I wish I'd had more fun. So that, at this point, we have to choose. And I think what people don't understand is that there's so much value in having fun. We just think of it as frivolous and time consuming, but listen, it reduces your stress and anxiety. It sharpens your brain. It improves your mental health. It literally increases our longevity. It makes our relationships better because we're all of a sudden, when we have a lighter, more fun energy, we become magnetic and we attract people into our lives. So, there was a neuroscience professor at Johns Hopkins, Dr. David Linden, I believe. And he's, it's very sciencey, so bear with me on this, but when he says when we're having fun, it's, the neurons are activating in that fancy part of the brain where, I'm going to be all fancy and sciencey here and say, there's some spindly things in our brains that it releases the dopamine. Right. And so that you get that same feeling when we do the stuff that's not that good for us. Like, we're doing the, drinking, smoking, gambling, shopping, drugs. Some people, for them, it's exercise. I'm not going to knock exercise because
we've talked about that a couple times this season.
It's good for us, and we should. But it's that you get that same feeling. So there's definitely ways to do things that are a little more healthy for us than maybe the easy way to just sit on the couch and watch 5 hours of television a night and have a cocktail. So here's the deal. I think the average, I know this is a statistic, the average North American watches 5 hours of television every night. That equals a night.
I did not know that was a thing.
35 hours a week. Can you imagine what you could do with 35 hours a week that it's on your dream list or your bucket list or whatever it is that you're like, because we all have something in us that we were like, darn it, if I just had the time, I would do X, like if I don't have the time, but you do have the time. That's the thing. Right. So we really need to, like I say, you prioritize it, you make it, here's what I'm going to suggest. I may get some backlash for this, but actually scheduling your fun.
Yes. Put it in your calendar.
Put it in the calendar. Like, seriously. And I know how, some people are like, are you serious? Like, that's not spontaneous. That's not fun if it's not in the calendar. But that also, you're setting then boundaries around it. You're then, being clear with everybody in your life. Listen, I need an hour just to go to a dance class, or I need an hour to take a guitar lesson, or whatever fun is for you. Listen, everybody has a different version of fun. My husband also, he's an accountant. He loves making spreadsheets. So if I need a spreadsheet, he'll sit at the computer and do a fancy spreadsheet for me for an hour and be thrilled. So like, it's whatever brings you joy.
So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk to Jess Neary, and then we're going to come back more with Wendy and figure out what she's been up to since the last time she was here and tell us a little bit about what she's got going on now. So we'll be back in just a minute for more of the Breakthrough Show.
Hi, my name is Brandon. And over the past year, the Delight Cafe team and I have traveled across the U.S. researching this rapidly growing industry of CBD products. What we have found throughout the industry were products that were inconsistent in dosage and used ingredients that weren't even lab tested. Products with chalky textures, bitter aftertaste, and worst of all, confusion among the CBD consumers. That's why we created Delight Cafe. A 15 milligram, lab tested, all natural, water soluble hemp CBD powder pack. It's odorless, colorless, and tasteless. Add it to your favorite drink of choice, wherever, whenever, on the go. Quickly find your calm, your balance, and your delight when you need it most.
Welcome back to the Breakthrough Show. As I've mentioned on a previous episode this season, I am so excited to be able to have friends of mine on the show that are not just friends, they're not just colleagues, but they're people that I have worked with and that I have been their client or their customer. And so it's really been such a beautiful experience for me to be able to work with them on that professional level and get to see what their clients would see, so I can give you guys some insider feedback on that as well. Our special guest today is someone who has come into my life at a time when I feel like I'm finally ready to have a relationship with my space around me. It has been an interesting experience for me growing up and not really feeling that connection. And so I've really enjoyed, you guys know we've had Heather Clark on the show that has helped me in the decluttering process of my space around me. And our guest today is a certified Feng Shui consultant. And I had heard about Feng Shui before. I thought it was interesting, but I didn't really see the effects of what was possible until I started working with her. She provides a personal and professional consultations to help people create spaces that are nourishing and supportive, body, mind, and spirit. I love that so much. Please welcome our special guest today, Jess Neary. Welcome, Jess.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here on the Breakthrough. It truly is an honor to be here with you, Jessica.
I know I want to get into some of the time we spent working together today, but you did mention that, the whole thing with connecting to your house and cleaning and taking care of your home is your jam, and it always has been a part of your life. Take us back a little bit and share with everybody this journey that you've been on to getting into this line of work.
Yeah. Oh, we've got to have more than an hour. No. Uh, well, from a very young age, I mean, I grew up in a household where there was lots of change happening. It wasn't until actually 4 years ago that I had really lived in one home for more than 2 years. We were moving frequently. My parents were going back to school, had changed jobs and career paths due to external situations. So there was a lot of change. And throughout all of this change, I found reprieve and comfort in looking at my environment, in particular in my bedroom, and changing the space around decluttering. I mean, clearing clutter wasn't known as clearing clutter or decluttering 20 some years ago, but I was doing it and felt really good. And I think those were the moments that, I might have been in a bit of darkness, or there would have been a bit of darkness around me, but I was finding those moments of light. And those were those moments for myself. And it was when I was in high school, I had taken so many different courses throughout my high school experience to try and find out what resonated strongly with me, or what was like the best fit. And there was this one class that was offered, and it was considered to be the bird class, an easy grade that you go and you just got it for the credit. And it was called Housing and Interior Design. And I went into this class and cried. It was like I found it. I found finally what brought me joy. It wasn't not necessarily something that came easily to me or was something I was good at, but it was something that fulfilled me in ways that no other subject could at the time. Math and art were two other classes that I did really well at. I really loved, but it's not like it didn't, there weren't any paths opening up on where I could go with either of those options. Now, very much what I do right now encompasses a lot of mathematics and art.
Right.
So I can certainly see how they played their role. But when I found that moment of interior design and just looking at our home space and the history of architecture, it just lit me up and it felt
Mm.
so good. I had applied to go to Ryerson University, which is in Toronto, Canada, and Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Mhm.
And at the time, it was the only program that was being offered for a degree in interior design.
Mm.
Now, this program, because it was the only one at the time, was very competitive to get into. They accepted, I think, 10% of applicants, and I actually was accepted. And when I was accepted, it was this moment of elation. It was just
Mhm.
like I hit the jackpot. It was something I had been working towards, you know, to get to that step, to get the
Right.
acceptance was a pretty lengthy process. Um, and so super excited, for sure, saying, yes, I'm doing this. 2.5 weeks later, I got a notice in the mail to say your acceptance to the acceptance wasn't received. So you've been bumped from the list.
Oh no.
It was devastating. In the
Mm.
moment, it was like everything came crashing down, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, what's happening?" I thought this was exactly where I was meant to go, and wasn't heading in there, and that was okay. I took a little bit of like a detour from what I
Mm.
thought was my path, and actually discovered, because I did go to university in our local campus for business for 4 years, graduated on the dean's list. Again, I mean, it came easily to me. It was something I was good at. It wasn't necessarily something that brought that instant joy though. So
Right.
even after my university education, and I was working in human resources in a really, really great position, I still had that thought of, well, what, there's something missing here.
Mhm.
I've got this golden ticket right now, but yet I'm not happy or fulfilled. There was a lot of questioning that time of what's wrong with me,
Right.
because I'm not fitting into this environment that I'm working in, that everybody is, you know, is really looking at in such a positive way and positive reputation, but why it didn't jive with me or align with me, I was so confused at the time. That's when I chose to take even just some side courses to continue this passion that I had
Mm.
with our spaces and connecting with them, and actually chose to leave my career and go back to school actually. And when I went back to school, I oh, there we go. Okay.
It's okay.
When I went back to school, I went back to school for interior design. And then I just kind of kept following what I call the breadcrumbs
Mm.
of these like little whispers guiding me towards something that really felt more aligned and
Mm.
was fulfilling. My like even from a very young age, every wish that I made was just to be happy, and very clear that that was my goal. That was my mission, was happiness. And so money, material objects, those things, they never took me off that path of achieving happiness. And, you know, and I was going through all those moments of questioning myself and confusion and just starting to sort out what really felt true to me and connected to myself and my path. It brought me to actually energy healing, and I had a Reiki session with an aunt, and it
Mhm.
went really beautifully. And from there, it's almost like I was cracked open even
Yeah.
further. It probably opened my crown chakra,
Yeah.
and yeah,
It's amazing
and
though when we do that, when we have
yes,
that one moment, all of a sudden it's like our whole world just it's all starts coming in and it's like what happened?
yes. Yes, it's kind of like, here's all the answers that
Yeah.
you've been looking for, the clarification and understanding. And it's kind of in my experience, every 5 to 10 years, I get those moments of, oh, I look back and reflect on those 5-10 years and I'm thinking, oh, this makes total sense why I'm here, where I'm at. And actually it gives me so much trust in the future and knowing that I'm supported, taken care of, I'm always in the right place. Um, yeah. Energy healing, it felt so good to me, again, just like the interior design did growing up. And so I continued with the energy healing path and interior design. So there was just naturally, the moment came was, how do I combine interior design and creating spaces that also felt good, and helped ourselves kind of evolve and kind of elevate even our own sense of who we are and where we're going. And that's when Feng Shui beautifully landed right on my lap. And I was introduced to my Feng Shui master, Tisha Morris, with the Earth Home School of Feng Shui and Mystical Arts. And I took the certification program through her and obtained my certification in Feng Shui. And when we first met, Jessica, I was working with interior design solely, or maybe it was just before we had met, and I was doing consultation practices, solely looking at the aesthetics and how it looked, knowing that there was still more that I wanted to learn and to explore with our personal environments. So I started my consulting practice in interior design, but then I knew that I had to go a little deeper. And that's, I studied Feng Shui, and then everything in my business converted to Feng Shui consultations. And with clients, we very much look at the looks and the aesthetics, but we were also looking at the deeper meaning behind those. And clients are really excited and ready to make these shifts in their environment because they're ready to make those shifts in their lives as well. And that's when I come in.
Absolutely. Well, I would love for you to, let's backtrack just a second for anybody that's watching or listening and they're going, okay, I hear you talking about the house, but I have no idea what is Feng Shui. What are we talking about? Can you give everybody just a really brief overview of what exactly is Feng Shui?
Absolutely. So Feng Shui originated over 4,000 years ago in China. And this practice was used for the royalty. It was reserved for the royalty to locate auspicious burial grounds so that we could honor our loved ones when they passed, and to have really blessings, I guess, as we move forward and from them as well. So they're resting peacefully. The information disseminated throughout those 4,000 years down to citizens, common folk, if you will. And we all have access to this information now. In the 1970s, more specifically, Grandmaster Lin Yun brought Feng Shui to the Western world. And the type of Feng Shui that he brought and that I studied and practiced is called BTB Feng Shui. And what that is kind of a Western version of Feng Shui. It's not looking at the compass direction, northeast, southwest. What it's looking at is the transcendental aspect of how us ourselves are in such a powerful position to make these shifts. So rather than looking at it from the perspective of the earth and where it's positioned, or where you're positioned, I should say, in this world, it's looking from yourself and where you're entering your home space and moving about, which I find makes it really practical. But also, to me, it resonated really strongly because already studying meditation and yoga, understanding my mental state and the effects that has on whatever it is I do, very much played a role in going down that path even further. Now, Feng Shui is looking at our environment and our physical space and looking at how we can encourage positive, healthy flow, energy flow in the space, which then supports you in whichever life area you're in. And when I talk about life areas, I'm briefly alluding to the Bagua map, which is a tool used in Feng Shui that helps to divide different areas in our home into life areas that kind of align and connect us with different aspects of ourselves and how our life is being expressed in this world.
Right.
So, for example, the back left corner of a home is known as the wealth and abundance area when you're looking from the front door, looking into your home space. And then once we can look at what areas of your home align with your life, I find it's very illuminating and empowering to then create these shifts in your home and in your life space that's uh, by intention and intentional design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what I love so much about looking at the Bagua map is that, and we're going to make sure to have that on the screen for everybody that's watching. So you're like, I don't know what you're
Totally.
talking about. It'll be there for you. So, I love when I look at it, because even if let's just take the belief of any kind of energy healing or any of this quote unquote woo woo stuff off the table,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
just take all that off. We should be being intentional about these different things, areas of our lives anyway. So
Mhm.
even at minimum, it gives you the opportunity to look at
Yeah,
each of these areas of your life and say, what do I like that's happening? And what do I not like that's happening? And how do we move forward and change it? Right.
absolutely. Our home spaces are a direct reflection of where we're at and where we're going, which can be a lot, to process at times. But then it can be also this really incredible opportunity. I see it as this really beautiful, incredible
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to make those changes and shifts, and of course, bringing our intention to those decisions. And yes, I absolutely know what you're referring to with your home space, because every decision is very intentional.
Mm.
And that's what I've been really so fortunate to be along the journey with you and your family on, is looking at, the colors on the walls, the fabrics that's being used, choosing to go with an item, not leather, but something that's vegan and, environmentally
Right.
friendly and sustainable. Those decisions are paramount, because let's say you're somebody who is vegan but goes out and purchases leather. I mean, there's going to be a discord by having that item in your home.
Right.
And oftentimes, that's what's happening in the world if we're not making conscious, intentional decisions. We could be
Mm.
just putting it in there just to put it in because it looks good, right?
Right. And
Yeah,
even what you mentioned about the, being vegan in the leather, this is the
yeah.
importance, guys, of working with a consultant or someone that can help you, because you
Mm,
may look at, there like so many other energy practices with feng shui, there's like a list of not do's and don'ts, but there's guidelines of things that,
guidelines, sure.
you should go by. And it can be really easy. Yes, you can go find that information wherever, but then
Yeah,
what happens is you pull up that information, you pull up those guidelines, and then you go, well, this can't work because I don't buy leather. This area says leather and I don't buy leather. So
right.
we're done. We're not doing
Yeah,
this. And so you
yeah.
need someone there to be able to say, but listen, that it says this, but here's what you can do.
Mm,
I it's a very exciting process when you get into it, and this is my one thing that I tell everybody is you you go into it and you want to do all the things right now. You just want to
yeah,
literally snap your because when you realize that you do have all the control, and you can create not just the physical space, but the kind of life that you want from doing this, and you're like, okay, I just want to snap my fingers and it's done and we're
yeah.
living in it and yay, it's over. But that's not how that works.
No. And it's beautiful. So with feng shui, we talk or in my lessons, and more of the information behind the scenes
Mhm.
is we're working with the cosmic trinity. And this is taught through Taoism and really is like the fundamentals of where feng shui originated. And we're dealing with the cosmic trinity. So when we look at the cosmic trinity for life, we've got heaven luck, we've got earth luck, and we've got human luck.
Mm.
And the environmental earth luck is something that we can change with feng shui. With heaven luck, we're looking at, I believe, your astrology. We're looking at, your birth chart and where you're almost destined to go. But then there's also the human aspect of that as well, and free will. I mean, we can choose anything and
Right.
any experience that we want. So I love the fact that when we look at our environment, we're working with these other aspects to our destiny, our life, and where it's going. But we're choosing one area that we can. What is the word that we can? It's not manipulate. It's not control. Decide. We can
Mm.
decide on where that wants to go and how that's going to look. So
Yeah.
it's beautiful. Yeah.
I love that. Well, I know that there's so many different parts to this that I feel like we could just pick apart. But I think what I want to do to kind of round things out here is, if people are listening and they're like, this sounds great, but it's also overwhelming, I'm out. what's something
Yes.
what's something that someone can do today to, like, they can
Mm.
finish watching the show, they can finish listening to the show, and they can just do something today? What would you suggest?
Absolutely. I'm going to suggest, because I know we've already talked about the Boggle map, it's going to be a resource available to our entire audience.
It's going to be
Um,
Googled, right?
it's absolutely going to be Googled. Yes. I do also have a Boggle map and reference to how to apply it to your home, because
Love that.
that can be a little
Yes.
confusing, on my website, justnearyfengshui.ca. Um, but what I'm going to do is ask our audience to take a moment and go inward and ask yourself, what is one thing, that you're working on currently? And I say it like that because I'm like 99% certain that if you're joining us on the call right now, you're already got this in your mind. Whether it be with your career, it could be looking at your relationships, with yourself, with friends, with your community, with your spouse or partner. You could be looking at, maybe you're wanting to start a family and have children in your life. Maybe you're looking for more money and finance and abundance. Whatever it may be, I encourage you then to look at the Boggle map. And when we look at the Boggle map and we apply it to your home space, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be dividing each of, there's 9 areas in your home that are going to be divided out into an even grid. And keeping in mind that one thing that you wanted to work on, and that's kind of more prevalent right now in your journey. So I
Mm.
would encourage you then to go to that area that's in your home and take a look around and just see what you notice. What is being reflected back to you in that space? What story is being told? What energy is
Mm.
felt in this space? That can elicit some really quick shifts. Often there could be some clutter perhaps in the corner that you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even see it before, but now, I'm seeing this clutter and I'd like to do something about this.
Mm.
Or, this room is my basement, or it's like the back corner basement. It's really not organized efficiently. Or perhaps it's a bathroom and there's a color in there that just kind of like never really felt great to you when you're in the space. Whatever comes to you in that moment is wonderful. Take note of
Mm.
it.
It's such a
And
good
a
place to
game
start.
plan might come. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I mean, it seems like, okay, well, that was really simple. But listen, we don't do that enough. We have become such a fast-paced society that we don't do that enough, where we walk into a space with simply the intention of saying, what do I want? How often do we
Absolutely.
ask ourselves that? We've forgotten to check in and say, what do we really want in this area of our lives? And then to look around. It's so simple to me now. Like, it's become such a part of of who I am to walk into a space that I know is the space is symbolic of a specific area of my life and say, what is this space telling me about that area of my life? And is it the story I want to be told?
Exactly. Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
so good. It's once you listen, guys, it's like, when Jess and I talked, when we first met, we were both, figuring things out and putting things together. And once we both had that moment of something, an idea came into our lives and then it all started coming in. I wish that for every single one of you right now. May this be the moment that now everything's going to change and shift for you. And next season, you will be on the Breakthrough Show talking about breakthrough moments that happened because you listened to the Jesses today.
There you go. The Just Squared.
Yes, absolutely. Jess, it's been so good having you here today. I feel like it's just been a long time coming. It has been a pleasure working with you. And I'm excited to continue working with you as our house slowly comes together. And I hope you guys have enjoyed looking at some of the photos we've shared on the screen throughout this episode as well, of some of the transformations that have happened within the house. And it's a work in progress. It's coming together, and I'm trying to get out of that I want it all done right now space in my head.
Celebrate the little wins. Oh my gosh, it's so funny because you're saying, "Oh, slowly but surely," and I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, the things you guys have been able to do, I can't imagine." Because it's just so beautiful, and it just was so effortless, and oh my gosh, you guys are just such a beautiful family, and that teamwork and support and the network, it really helps things move quickly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, tell everybody really quickly, Jess, where they can find you and how they can connect with you for more.
Absolutely. So again, I'm Jess Neary with Jess Neary Feng Shui, and you'll be able to find me almost anywhere. I'm very active on Instagram at Jess Neary Feng Shui and also Facebook. And you can also find out more about my consultations or events that may be coming up in the future that are offered online. I do lots and lots of workshops and webinars to help homeowners really create those shifts in a particular area of their home or in a particular area of their life. So I'd love to connect with you there. And that's at justnaryfengshui.ca and .com.
Love
Got
it.
both. They'll both take you there. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's been, like I said, amazing to have you on today. Such a pleasure to talk to you, not just about we always talk about, you and I always talk about the house stuff, but to talk a little bit about your journey as well has been a really good time. Thank you so much for being here with me today, Jess.
Thank you so much, Jessica.
All right, guys, we're going to be back in just a minute for more of the Breakthrough Show. Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every month for exclusive programming, where we invite you to go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com. Welcome back to the Breakthrough Show. It was so awesome catching up with Jess Neary on that last segment, and we're back now with the fabulous Wendy Russell. Thanks for being back today, my friend. It's been really nice catching up with you both on and off the camera.
You too. It's been fun.
Yes. Well, I mean, as I mentioned, it's been 2 years since you've been on the show. What have you been doing? I mean, we've heard a little bit about the house.
Yes.
Other than the house, what else have you been up to?
Well, okay. So I was the general contractor on that project. We did a lot of work ourselves. We are renovators. It was the 8th house that we had renovated together. That's where my crafty skills went. After the show wrapped, we ended up moving into renovations. But I swore after a year and a half of building this house, I was like, I'm done. I need a break. I can't do another renovation. And then it happened. So I spent all of last summer, basically from May to October, living 2 hours out of town. We found a duplex in cottage country, and I spent the entire summer out there as general contractor, but also did a lot of the work ourselves. My husband drove out every weekend, 2 hours each way to come and help me on all the things I couldn't do. But yeah, we did everything. Built a deck. I painted the whole house myself. We put the flooring down. We did some insulation and install of miscellaneous things, all the light fixtures. I changed all the electrical myself, all the, very fancy. So yes, I'm handy. She's handy. She's crafty and she's handy.
She's crafty. And I was like, maybe, you did, speaking of crafty, for anybody that did not see the first time that Wendy was on, we talked a little bit about how she used to be the star of She's Crafty on HGTV Canada. Maybe you should bring it back, but this time it should be She's Handy.
Yeah, listen, if anybody wants to write HGTV and tell them She's Handy or Mr. and Mrs. Handy, because now he can come on with me and we'll do something together. Ever since I've been back, now I'm, I've got my corporate, keynote and workshops in place, and I've been working with women entrepreneurs actually who have been overwhelmed with time management, and they've realized that they've actually created themselves a job. They've got another job. They got off the treadmill of the job that they were trying to get out of. Yep. They started their own business and they're like, oh my gosh, I have another job. So the reason that they started businesses in the first place is they wanted to be their own boss and have the freedom that they wanted and do all the things that they wanted, right? It just sounds so much more fun and creative than having the job. But I'm watching a lot of women in particular that are just working themselves into the ground 24/7, and they're burnt out. They're disappointed in themselves because they're thinking it was supposed to look different. And sometimes
it was supposed to be fun.
It was supposed to be fun, right? And now they're maybe some of them are wishing they hadn't started their businesses in the first place. So I've been working, as a business mentor, I've been working with women entrepreneurs to bring back the fun. And the other thing that was a skill set of mine that I didn't, sometimes we have skills and we don't acknowledge that they're skills that are teachable. So I've been helping women entrepreneurs with their online presence in terms of their videos and making them fun and creative and interesting and different, because a lot of them have never done it before. A lot of them are very intimidated by the technology. And so I teach them how to keep it simple, but also how to be their authentic selves on camera, which is just going to attract, again, it makes, you become magnetic, to more clients and your current clients. You're just a giant magnet of attracting funness.
Yes. And everything you've been doing ties completely back into this idea of being creative and fun and crafting your own life the way that you want, crafting your own business even. I love that so much. And that work I think is really important. If somebody had told me, if someone had told me in the beginning what it was going to take, what I was going to have to do and all of that, I don't know that I would be doing what I do right now. However, and so I wish in the beginning, somebody had been like, maybe think about having a team, maybe thinking about having people to do things that you are not going to want to do.
Yeah. It's huge. And I think, we have a hard time delegating, especially when we start our own businesses, because we're like, we know what's best. But we also have a love list and a hate list. And, so this is what I get women entrepreneurs to do is they make their love list, all the things they love doing and working on in their business. And I get them to make a hate list, all the things that they're like, you know what, I feel like there's someone out there with skills that can do this for me because I dread it every time I sit down. And then that just, takes a load off right there. Right. And then they can start reaching out very inexpensively. As you know, there's so many options for getting online now, and getting that work done that we are avoiding, or not doing well, or is shifting our energy, shifting our, when we sit down, we dread it. And it takes us out of that creative place as entrepreneurs, right? Because we're dread.
Right. Well, I mean, it's so for any of you guys that are any of you ladies out there, especially that are getting into, having your own business, definitely connect with Wendy, because I can't tell you how much more difficult it is for me now, after all of these years of doing everything by myself, to now delegate that out, because now I've spent all this time and effort and now it's my baby and I don't want to let it go. It is so much more difficult for me at this stage where I'm at to start letting other people do, because I'm like, oh, I wouldn't quite do it that way. But I have to, I'm in this place now where I'm having to learn to let people operate in their own genius. And
hey, that's amazing. But yes, you're totally right. And you're spot on. The longer you go in your business, the harder it is to hand those things over.
Well, what are you working on right now, as far as like, how can people find you and work with, what's the best way to do all that?
So I have a fun Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group called Run It Like a Boss for female entrepreneurs. And that's where you can go to build the business of your dreams. So there are, weekly fun bits in there. And there's, lots of videos in terms of instructional videos. There's, inspiring things. And I do Facebook tutorial, like master classes and challenges every now and then. So you can get all of that goodness in there. And then there's one-on-one mentorship. I'm doing a 6-month one-on-one mentorship program for anybody that's interested. So, I guide you through all the steps that it takes to get out of overwhelm, so that you have the time to get some fun in your life, and all the things that are on that dream list you can get done. So
I love that. I love it. And it, like I said, it all ties into what you're doing, and I just see it being so you, and how you're amazing on camera. You always have such amazing insight on anything. I mean, I could call Wendy and say, Wendy, come on and let's talk about birds. And Wendy would find something amazing to say about birds. You're one of those guests that we've had on that is just not afraid of being you, and just, I mean, it sounds so cliche and simple to say just be yourself, but that's really difficult for a lot of people. And so I really appreciate your authenticity, Wendy, and I'm so excited that you came back to share with us today. And of course, we will have all of Wendy's links and everything down in the show notes so you can connect with her. But thank you for being back today, my friend. I appreciate you.
Oh, my pleasure. So great to see you, Jess. It's been too long.
I know. Sooner next time.
Yes, please. Anytime. Call me up about birds. It's all good.
Hey, we'll have on season 6 of the Breakthrough Show. Thank you so much, Wendy. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Lovey. See ya.
All right, guys, it has been a fantastic show. I want to thank our special guests today, Jess Neary, and of course, Wendy Russell. Be sure to check out the show notes for all of the information on how you can connect with both of these amazing women. And until next week, guys, I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I want to encourage you to make every day a great day for a breakthrough. We'll see you next time.
in to another episode of The Breakthrough. Please visit our website at www.thebreakthroughshow.com and be sure to join our After the Breakthrough community powered by Patreon. We look forward to seeing